Hey everyone, I'm Alexandra Harper. I'm 26 years old from Nashville, Tennessee, and today I'm going to be making a Parmesan mushroom risotto with seared sea scallops. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it was the first thing I made. Well, minus the risotto because I was kind of fat in college, but honestly it was the very first thing I made with sea scallops and salmon in college when I really wanted to lose weight. Because for me, I was getting the freshman 30, not the freshman 15. So now we're here and I'm bringing it all the way back about 8 years later and I'm excited to do it. But first we're gonna start out with doing a little chopping, getting the mushrooms ready, the shallots ready, and the... Okay, so I just put 3 tablespoons of butter on the skillet back here and it's getting ready. And of course I had to use Smart Balance because it gives me PTSD from when I was fat in college. So now we're gonna go over here and we're going to chop some shallots. What's funny is that my mom, growing up, she always taught me that if you ever start crying when you're chopping onions, just to put a saltine cracker in your mouth and it all goes away. My grandmother taught me the exact same thing. A lot of people say to like chew gum or do whatever else, but nope. It's all about putting a saltine cracker in your mouth. There's so many things that my grandmother Bibi taught me and taught my mom, which at a young age, I really didn't have that much of an interest in cooking at all. I remember going up to my mom one day and being like, why are you always making us homemade meals? Like, what's the point? And she was like, God, Alexandra, just wait until you're about 25 years old. And literally, she was kind of wrong, but about at 21 years old, I finally started realizing why people cook. And truly, it's because for me, it's therapeutic. I love cooking. I love cooking for my friends. I love cooking for my neighbors, my boyfriend, and it's just always been something that I love doing. And so that was something that I always took to heart, is that my grandmother always said, love it when you get a little bit older. My mom was like, it's going to happen when you're 25. Well, it happened when I was 21. But in all seriousness, I have enjoyed cooking. I don't know, I guess ever since I was a junior in college at the University of Tennessee. That's my cat. That's why I'm wearing a cat apron. Stop it. Anyways, I've enjoyed cooking for that long because, again, not only because I was kind of fat, but I kind of found myself when I transferred colleges and I sort of knew who I was when I transferred to the University of Tennessee, because there's a lot more diversity at that college, and so I was able to sort of branch out, do my own thing. I would spend Saturdays, instead of going and tailgating at games, I would spend Saturdays by myself drinking wine and making food. So that was the best thing in the entire world. And I'm telling you, all of my friends in college, they would always say, oh my gosh, Allie, will you please come over and will you please make us this food? They would Venmo me every single Saturday. Just to make them food, like meal prep them food for the rest of the week. So it was kind of one of those things where I knew that I loved it. I knew it was a passion of mine, but I didn't really know how to get into it. All right, so right now I've just added in the mushroom. I've added in a little bit of parsley, a little bit of cilantro, and a lot of garlic, because I'm all about the garlic. We're in the South. And a lot of butter because, again, we're in the South. And now I'm going to add in a little bit of white wine and just a little bit at a time of the risotto. And there's a kind of something in the South that like you don't really measure things very well. So we're just gonna kind of go off of what we know. And right now what we know is that this is about 3/4 a little bit of wine. And we're gonna go from here, put this in. I've seen my grandmother make this dish so many times. The way that she used to cook was just so quintessential. Small town. She was from Winchester, Tennessee. There's probably about, I don't know. Well, when I was growing up, I thought there was like 45 people that was living there, but now there's actually 2 grocery stores and 2 banks. But at the time, she would always get her groceries fresh from the market, and she used to never buy anything that she could not pronounce, and that was a huge thing. And now I'm that way too. So if I don't feel like that I can pronounce something like on a label, I'm not gonna buy it. But I kind of feel like that's kind of one of those things that comes along with being in the South. So as this cooks, oh my gosh, it smells amazing. Can you smell the white wine? This is amazing. Yeah, it smells unbelievable. And we're just gonna keep on doing this, keep on stirring. And you know, whenever I'm cooking with white wine, I always like to reach for my favorite cup, which is, of course, of me. And it says, "I love you, Mommy." I did not write that, but I think my teacher wrote that when I was probably like 5. And I always put my wine in here, so I don't know. My friends always laugh at me because I always drink my wine in mugs. It's kind of bizarre. Okay, so the most important part of this dish, now that our risotto is done, it's only taken about 5 years, but we basically just put a lot of white wine in this, a lot of Parmesan. There's mushroom. It's amazing. So right now we're going to be searing our scallops at a very high heat because you have to. And before we do so, because by the way, I just want everyone to know that Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee is landlocked. So we don't have very like large scallops. We have very small ones. I just want you to keep that in mind. But we're gonna put some pepper and a little bit of salt. Himalayan pink, right? Because what you have to do. I'm like the most sodium person ever. Like if I eat sodium, my entire face just like swells up into an oblivion. So we are going to sear these in a clockwise position. The reason why that I'm doing it clockwise is because then you know how long that it is before they are being seared and you're able to take them off. So we're just gonna be waiting here until they're done. Actually, to be able to have the exact same time mark as to when they have to get off. And as soon as they're off, you have to put them in a dish that's just like this with a kitchen napkin right here. So I'm gonna wait for it to turn 8:38 and then I'm gonna be ready for it to go. Because scallops, just like eggs, they continue cooking in any sort of dish possible. And so they're just continuously going to be getting cooking, like they're going to continuously be getting chewy. If you cook scallops too long, they're going to be getting chewy. So that's the one thing we want to avoid. All right, so now we're going to take this one off. Take this one off. These two. Okay, so now that our risotto is done with a ton of Parmesan and a little bit of a southern twist on it, which is like a lot of wine, we are going to spray this little container, which I've always asked my mom, like, how do you plate things so beautifully? And she's always said, just a little bit of Pam. My grandmother used to say, just a little bit of butter. Which, by the way, I have these recipes, which I love. I always keep in my kitchen that my grandmother wrote, and if you can see this right now, she underlines the word butter in all capital letters all the time. So if you're from the South and you don't use a lot of butter, you're not from the South. So we're going to be coating this right here, putting it into this little form, putting that down. And then we're going to be going over to our scallops and plating these. If you don't mind just coming a little bit in, a little bit above. And then I also just chopped up some cilantro. So we're going to be just plating this right here for some greenery and some lemon zest. What you always need. So yeah, there you go. There is your simple yet kind of southernly complicated southern dish of sea scallops and a Parmesan risotto.